Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back for this week's vlog. Today I'm going to be trying something a little bit different. I'm not gonna do so much corny editing or funny stuff. I'm just gonna try and keep it simple, I guess. A little bit more like vlogger style, like actual YouTube vlog. Let's see how it goes. Like not that funny, but just like slice of life content, and then I'll ask for your feedback later on stuff. Like it's gonna be a fun time. Let's see how it goes. So, first segment of today. A dramatic reading of my writing prompts. So now it's writing prompts with an S because I'm doing one video a week, but it will be chock full of more content for you lovely people out there. Also, side note, if you notice that I'm looking up when I read things now, it's because I put my computer screen up there, so now I have a dual monitor system. I will put a picture of it right now. Yeah, so that's my quarantine setup. It's quite fun, it's a good time. Anyway, Tuesday's writing response. Keegan was always a happy kid. In middle school, he was voted class joker and could lighten a mood anytime he wanted to. He was a drama kid, but not the kind who was annoying about acting or pretentious about humor. He was the kind who used his understanding of expression to make people feel comfortable in any setting. The toughest part about being the happiest is somehow relating to the saddest soundtracks most. It didn't make sense, but that was why Dear Evan Hansen's Broadway soundtrack was always playing on his iPhone. Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to use the medium of like a Broadway soundtrack of a pretty sad Broadway musical, quite a serious one, to reflect how people who are happy on the outside are kind of, I don't know, not sad on the inside, but have a sadder side that they almost can't reach out to, but that they're always listening for. Alright, second one. Corey loves to dance. He fell in love with it after losing a bet with his football teammates, which forced him to sign up for the community ballet class at his neighborhood. He never expected to absolutely love the art. Soon enough, he was attending the monthly session, then the weekly men's sessions, and then he was dancing contemporary style in school on his training off days. Corey's social niche became an interesting one. He would finish football upper body workouts for the day and run off to catch the local Swan Lake recital with his dancer friends. He would attend football cheerleader mixers, but would talk to the cheerleaders about how far they went with classical ballet training in their childhoods. He was living a dual life in the oddest way. Yeah, so I guess for this one, I tried to adhere to not describing him physically at all, no physical traits, but more just like what he does. So I tried to create this duality of like jock yet art lover, more effeminate person. Not like, no offense to anyone, but yeah, you know. Next, I will be giving my thoughts on Heads of the Colored People, 4 fancy sketches, 2 chalk outlines and no apology, and Bell's letters. After Tuesday's class, I'm sure that you've done enough discussion on several of the things that I'm going to talk about today, but I don't want to beat the dead horse too much once again, but just to share my own perspective. The first thing that I want to touch on is her meta writing at the start of the short story. So as we can see, at the start she says, well, I'm not being meta for the sake of being meta, I'm doing it to like describe the characters better. And I feel like this created a both sincere and humorous effect, because almost like in movies when we talked about, or plays when they break the fourth wall, I feel like she was kind of breaking the fourth wall in the book this time, saying as an author or as a narrator, look, I'm not trying to be cheesy, but here's what I'm trying to say, which was both funny yet genuine. The second thing that I want to talk about is her unique storytelling perspective. So, interestingly enough, it didn't follow the standard narrative structure, yeah, as was probably analyzed already, but it didn't follow the normal short story structure, as each character involved had their story told from their side. And it was in a very interesting chronology as well, because it does start out with Riley, but then towards the middle it goes to Kevin, who only has relevance towards the very end of the story when we find out that he was the person commissioning the paintings of Riley. So it's the chronology is really interesting because it doesn't make immediate sense to the audience, I would say, because you read the first one, Riley, you read the second one, you gain more perspective of the person he fought with, and then the third one comes out of nowhere, seems unrelated. It would seem like it would make more sense to make the girlfriend the next one, but like I feel like this chronology creates a sense of mystery, or wants you to keep reading to put the pieces together till the end. So I found this extremely interesting. I also feel like the narrative through different stories and people created an effect of sympathizing with every party involved. Because at first you really think that you think Riley is the good guy. Then next you think his offender is the good guy. His name Richard. Yes, his name was Richard. So it lets you see every angle and understand their perspectives from every angle. But at the end, sympathize with the whole black community because of what happened and how they were portrayed in social media in terms of not representing who they were at all. So it goes from solidarity by person to solidarity by community, which I found to be extremely interesting and riveting. Moving on to Belle's letters. So the first thing I want to say is that before this, I thought that the letter exchange format for short stories or books was, even though kind of novel, was pretty overdone and rather tacky. That was just my honest impression. Just a very simple way to do a first person or get into the thoughts of their characters. It was a bit lame to me. However, after reading the story, I believe that the author did an amazing job to reflect the subtleties through the letter medium, which was perfect for her story in the end, for a few reasons. Firstly, I feel like it was awesome for reflecting the niceties of exchange. The letter medium is not the same as real-life confrontation or the story as told through a person's stream of consciousness. It allows them to reflect passive aggression on both sides because letters are supposed to be cordial, and any shade that is to be thrown or insults to be hurled are all, I would say, very politically correct, interestingly. So the pettiness that can arise from letters causes a roundabout and indirect way of insulting each other, and I thought this was the nuance that she was trying to play up by having two grown women conflict. Furthermore, I thought that the letter medium allowed for a very genius twist at the end, which was the Westwood Welcome Wagon signature. So if you notice at the start, Lucinda had in her letter signature, there was the Westwood Welcome Wagon committee member signature line. And it was super interesting because that was since the start. And at the end, where Monica made up with everyone, she was now being welcomed onto the Westwood Welcome Wagon by Principal Lee. So this was a very subtle but interesting twist that used the medium of the letter salutation and was just super beautiful. I thought it was extremely witty and smart to use that. The last thing that I want to talk about is how sad the ending was to me. I thought it was almost Jordan Peele-esque for an ending. So it distinctly reminded me of the Get Out of Here scene in Get Out, if you guys remember, where the boyfriend meets another black man in the fairly whitewashed community and it causes like a breakdown basically. It's a sort of horror story ending, if you will. And it implies a greater moral meaning to how black people succeed or manage to assimilate into the upper class, only through losing something about themselves or, losing their soul, playing dirty like in the book. So it just, in my opinion, neither of these stories to me was very funny. I thought that they were very witty but ultimately had very sad messages. Now for the personal part of this video. So guys, I just wanted to understand a few things. What is your quarantine rabbit hole? So for me, I have been into YouTube fishing vlogs for no reason. I'll put some in the description, but it's just so fun watching 20-minute videos of people fishing bass or like catching Goliath groupers. It's so random. And what is your social situation like? I'm wondering. Are you guys calling your friends every day? Are you guys just in isolation? I'm just curious to find out. So, thanks for watching this week's update, guys. I will see you next week.